I want to talk to you guys about a discovery I made about Euler's identity, mathematical infinity, and a Bible verse that ties both of these things together. And this verse in the Bible is sort of a mathematical synopsis of our universe. This Bible verse and this formula together tie in the five fundamental mathematical constants and infinity. And like I was saying, it sort of represents the framework of our universe. So let's start with infinity. So infinity is a really tricky thing in math. It's tricky because we know that infinity is a real thing, but mathematically it yields inconsistent results. So, for example, if you have infinity and you take away from infinity, what do you get? Well, you still have infinity, right? So if you had an infinite amount of marbles and you took away 4 of those marbles, you would still have an infinite amount of marbles. Also, the same goes with adding. If you were to add 4 marbles to your infinite amount of marbles, you would still have infinity. So infinity, when you apply it mathematically, whether you add to it, divide from it, subtract from it, multiply it, you still have infinity. There's no other mathematical value that exists that has this unique characteristic. But what makes infinity so interesting is that within the context of our universe, we know that we had to come from something infinite. So something outside of the mechanics of time, space, matter, and energy, there is something infinite that our universe is derived from. If we look at Ecclesiastes 3:14, it says that I know that whatever God does, it shall be forever. Nothing can be added to it and nothing taken from it. So this verse is literally a description of infinity in mathematics that I just showed you. It says forever, which is infinity. Nothing can be added to it and nothing taken away from it. This verse is a literal description of the infinite, in a way that a mathematician would look at it. Now hold that thought and we'll talk about Euler's identity. So a quick history on Euler. Leonhard Euler was an 18th century Swiss mathematician who made several important mathematical discoveries. One of the most important, probably the most important formula that he ever discovered was ei to the pi plus 1 equals 0, which has become known as Euler's identity. For the purposes of our discussion, we're going to write it as e pi to the I plus 1 equals 0, which is the same formula mathematically, just written a little bit differently. Euler's identity is highly regarded by mathematicians all over the world as one of the most remarkable equations ever. So Keith Devlin at the Stanford University has said that Euler's equation reaches down to the very depths of existence. The most beautiful theorem in mathematics by the mathematical intelligencer. The most famous formula in all of mathematics by Constant Reed. And then David Stipe, I don't know how to pronounce his name, wrote a book called A Most Eloquent Equation. So you can see it there. Euler's formula and the beauty of mathematics. And this book is devoted entirely to the profoundness of Euler's identity. It's a great book. Euler's identity has been also regarded as God's equation because it ties everything together from basic math to compound interest the circumference of a circle, trigonometry, calculus, and infinity. It is a model of what the physical fabric of our reality is made of. So the 5 fundamental mathematical constants are found in Euler's identity. They're E, pi, I, 1, and 0. So E is an irrational number, and it's 2.71 ... and it goes on forever. So what's so interesting about E is that E is used for computing interest rates, computer programming. E represents computers and finance, which is a major part of our world. Pi represents geometry and matter in our universe. So I is what is known as an imaginary number, and it is it's a multiple of the square root of -1. So I is also known as a complex number. It's what we use to calculate it's what we use for quantum calculations in physics. So I represents, what it really does, it represents the complex number plane, and it represents or its larger representation is the quantum world of electrons, quarks, strings, etc. So I really represents what we don't see that exists at a very, very, very small level, beyond atoms. 1 represents a unit as a whole. 1 is also a binary number. It can be used to symbolize something. It's representative of something, right? As opposed to its counterpart, 0, which is the only number that represents nothing. It's a non-value, right? And 0 is also a binary number, and if you know about computer coding, that 1s and 0s are what it's basically all about at the end of the day. But what's really interesting is that the juxtaposition of something against nothing, that relation is that relative sense between the two is how we can really understand anything from a basic sense. So 0 and 1 together, this represents the abstract, and then also, like I said, the abstract nothing, and then the something that is in our universe. These 5 fundamental constants, they are what our universe is built on. They are the basic building blocks for understanding our universe. They are the foundation of the substance of what the universe is made of. They are everything that our universe is set to, or calibrated to, so to speak. So Euler's formula is really a working synopsis of our universe. And when we couple the concept of infinity with our universe, we gain a grander perspective of how the universe was created. It's as if infinity is the backdrop of our universe. We came from something infinite, and it exists beyond the boundaries of our universe. Let's look at this real quick. So here we have Ecclesiastes 3:14, right? Remember I said that Euler's identity is in this verse. It's overlaid on this verse, which I was describing the universe as having an infinite backdrop. This is like infinity, the backdrop of the universe right here. This is God. And we've got Euler's identity just sort of pops out off this verse to us. So we've got E for Ecclesiastes, right? That's our E, right? E and E. Then we've got 314. What does that sound like? Oh, that's pi, right? Remember I said pi was equal to 3.14? And then what's the first letter of the verse? It's I, right? Then it says, I know that whatever God does, it shall be forever. Nothing can be added to it. We're going to add to it. And nothing taken away from it. So nothing, remember there's nothing I was talking about, 0. Nothing can be added to it and nothing taken away. So we have Euler's identity, which is the synopsis, the mathematical synopsis of the framework of our entire universe. And it's hidden in this verse. And on top of that, this verse describing infinity, the nature of God. So we have the framework of the universe and the infinite, the divine nature of God placed upon it. So I really hope that this inspired you. The first time I saw this, I fell out of my chair. And it was so breathtaking to me. And I think what is so cool about this is that God leaves us these mathematical clues to find. So whether you're a math geek or not, I think that you can see this and see how God's really talking to us. It's so powerful, and I really hope you guys enjoyed this. And thanks so much for watching.